My friends fooled me into making this mistake. When my husband found out, he decided to ruin me. I had never thought that one day I would find myself being one of my alpha husband's brutal revenge. You know, when you are too carefree, you end up doing things that would ruin your life and the second party's life. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was just having fun, but I guess the fun had me instead. A very small mistake took me back to the hellhole I thought I had left. I regret the day I made that mistake. I thought my husband was not going to find out. We were playing a game, you know. Just having fun with a couple of friends at a party, not knowing that what I had thought was a game was actually cheating. The worst part was the fact that I had to realize it the hard way. I was fooled by my friends and did things that I had thought were harmless and fun, only for it to ruin my life. I know someone who once had the same experience or had gone through the same situation that I was facing. How did you pick up the broken pieces and fix things regarding this situation? Let me tell you what happened. So I, F28, met this fine, handsome, and sexy man when I was visiting my aunt in Brooklyn for summer holidays. The first time I saw him, I developed a huge crush on him. Well, that time he had just turned 20 and I was 18. I had just started college in Baruch College in New York City. My aunt had always asked me to move in with her since she was staying alone. Her husband was working overseas. After I saw Chris, M30, I then reconsidered my aunt's offer. So I moved in with my aunt after I found out that Chris and his family were my aunt's neighbors. So I made it my mission to at least be friends with him since I didn't have any. One boring day, I'd been scared to ask for friendship with Chris, so I continued staying in the house. On that boring and sunny day, I decided to go and stay outside because the house was too boring for me and I needed some air. So as I was still outside, Chris arrived, was going with his family. My heart started beating so fast that I even thought it would stop. I then stared at him, or better say drooled on him for a long time. This man was fine. His body structure was to die for, not to mention his voice and smile. God, I wanted to die. Anyway, I think he saw that I was looking at him. Then he approached me after he had offloaded the things they had come with. Since that boring day, we became friends. He has been attending New York City College of Technology. He was a computer geek, which explained why he went to the College of Technology. Our friendship got stronger each day, as much as I had a huge crush on him, but I had closed my crush feeling to a small cage. At least we were friends and we were spending more time together. I was not used to Brooklyn, so he would take me to different places to visit different ice cream shops. There was this weekend when he came to my aunt's house and asked me to accompany him somewhere. I didn't ask much, so I went with him, only to find out that we were going to Central Park, which was 35 minutes drive away from Brooklyn. We were actually going to have a picnic there, and it was really fun. That was the day we had our first kiss, and he tasted so sweet and soft. From that day, he told me that he had developed feelings for me, so he proposed to me to be his girlfriend. He didn't have to ask twice. I unlocked my crush feelings and agreed to be his girlfriend. Our relationship was officialized after 6 months of keeping it a secret. It was the best year of my life. The more time we spent together, the more I got a chance to know him on a much deeper level. He was a sweet, loving, and loyal guy, but he was strict. He didn't take any shit from anyone, which made him an alpha boyfriend. We dated for 2 years, and it was a great ride. So his 22nd birthday was coming. I had invited all his friends since I was hosting a surprise birthday party for him. You can call it young love because we were very much in love with each other. So during the party, one of his friends had asked everyone to participate in a game called Spin the Bottle. My man told him that we were not going to join the game. I didn't understand why, because the game looked fun except for the fact that if the bottle points in your direction and another person's direction, you had to kiss them or drink the undiluted vodka. But it looked really fun, so I wanted to try it. The following year, he proposed to me, and obviously I said yes. I saw the love of my life in him. Even though he was a bit insecure. Maybe not a bit, but I loved him so much. I didn't see myself with anyone else other than him. He was my ride or die, my joy and happiness. I fell hard for him every day, not knowing that my small, stupid mistakes would cost me everything, including my love. Was it being naive or being forward? We got married after 6 months. We didn't want to rush things, so we took our own sweet time to plan for our perfect wedding. I had moved out of my aunt's house after he proposed. We were living happily ever after. You know when you feel that she is the one, and you don't want anything to get in between you, which was how I felt. He was everything and more, not knowing that he would become my downfall someday. A year later, I fell pregnant. Our lives were great. I was so happy that I was going to be a mom, not just being a mom, but the fact that I was going to have a child with the person I loved so much. 9 months later, I gave birth to a very adorable baby girl. She looked so much like my husband, and I loved her so much. She was and still is the best gift God had given me. Chris was so obsessed with his baby to a point that I was somehow jealous because the baby loved her daddy more than me. He would ask me to go out and rewind with friends since I was always in the house taking care of the baby. Chris didn't want me to work, but I talked him out of that thought and told him that at least I would do remote jobs. In that case, I would be able to be a stay-home mom while receiving an income. So one day I had received an invitation from one of my former college friends for a reunion party. I asked for permission to go from my husband, of course. He didn't have any problem. So one sunny Saturday, I attended the party, and it was a blast. It was fun. It was just a small and intimate party with just a few college friends. I really enjoyed myself, so one of the guys came up with the plan to play truth or dare. I thought it was just a game and we were all having fun, not knowing that I had committed adultery. I didn't know that kissing was considered cheating. Worst part, in that reunion party, everyone was happy and having fun. Videos and pictures of every moment were taken. Little did I know that those videos and pictures would ruin everything for me. A year later, I had asked my aunt to come over to my marital home with her husband because I had planned a surprise retirement and welcome back party for him, since he was no longer going to be working overseas but coming back home. I wanted to appreciate him while he was still alive. That man had done so much for me. He was the best uncle-father I had ever had. Both Uncle John and my aunt deserved to get their roses while still alive. During that year, Chris had started acting really strange. He was no longer spending time with me, but he would take our daughter only, and saying it was a daughter and daddy bonding session. That was actually a very lame excuse because even at home, things were no longer fun. It was like we were forcing things, even though our conversations were no longer fun and full of happiness. I had thought he was cheating because one day I had confronted him about his sudden behavior, and he looked at me like I had grown horns or I was crazy. So I decided to check his gadgets. Maybe he was using them to cheat, but I found nothing. I knew and felt that he was hiding something from me, but I couldn't get myself to think that whatever he was hiding was actually about me. One summer evening, I was preparing for my uncle's retirement welcome home party. I had told Chris that I would be hosting a party for my uncle, so I needed him to be there to help me. That day, he had promised me that he would be home early, but he didn't keep his promise. I mean, why was I surprised? Because he had been absent for a few days. He would go to work very early in the morning and come back late when our daughter would have even gone to sleep. When I asked him about it, he would say he was caught up at work. I couldn't shake off the nagging feeling that told me that something was off. I kept wondering why Chris was so distant and absent lately. Yes, I found out that he was not cheating, but there was something that had made him too busy for his wife because even our intimate moments were no longer the same. It was like he was doing it to satisfy himself more than the both of us. I wanted to find out what his problem was, but I just didn't know where to start. I had thought I knew Chris, but his behavior showed me that I didn't know him at all. So as the guests were arriving for my uncle's party, my uncle and his wife came, but I noticed that my uncle was a bit off as he tried pretending to be happy. I asked him on the side to speak with him, so I asked him what was going on. I had thought he was sick or something, but that was not the case. He had recently opened his coffee shop with the money he had gotten when it was his last day overseas. He told me that his business was crumbling down. I didn't understand how it was crumbling down because it was always busy. Then he told me that someone had hacked the business's account, and that person was busy stealing the money. My heart ached for my uncle, so I told myself that I would find the person who plays in my uncle's business account. It didn't even come to my mind that my husband would be responsible. Was I ignorant? I told my uncle that I would take the money I had inherited from my late mother and support him so he could recover the money he lost. It was going to be little, but it was going to make a difference. I couldn't let my uncle's business go down the drain like that. I had to do something, and I mean, he had been with me, playing a father role in my role. It was the least I would have done to help him. Chris came back looking pale and his eyes held a sinister glint. The suspicions that I had and tried to investigate about were proved. My husband had lipstick on his shirt collar. He was reeking of alcohol. It was not the Chris I knew. I was shuddered, My world was shuddered at the fact that the feeling I had been trying to ignore had come to reality to hit me like a ton of bricks. Chris had been cheating on me, and my suspicions got proved. The bitterness of betrayal consumed me. I wanted to find out why he would do something so evil to me. I had thought we were happy, but I guess thoughts were not always right. Little did I know that the revenge I was seeking would backfire very badly. So I embarked on a relentless pursuit of the truth, unearthing a web of lies, infidelity, and corruption. With each revelation, my anger grew. I then discovered that Chris had not only been cheating on me, but had also orchestrated a plan to take advantage of my uncle's struggling business. I just couldn't believe it. It was really hard for me to believe that my loving husband would do something so evil to me and my uncle. My heart shattered, so I vowed to bring down both my cheating husband and the conniving individuals who had taken advantage of my family. Armed with my wit, resilience, and a newfound strength, I had set out a plan to expose the truth and divorce his ungrateful self. Did he do all that to make me suffer just because the only thing I did was to love him, or he married me or dated me just because he knew and saw that I had a crush on him? A lot of questions were running through my mind, and I couldn't find any answers for them. I even decided to be a stay-home mom just because I was respecting him since he wanted me to be a housewife. But we had spoken about that and came to an agreement that I would do only remote jobs, and he decided to do such an evil act on me. What did I do wrong to him? The way I was shuddered and disappointed led to not being a fully present mother to our daughter. He was still living in our marital home, and he never forgot to spend his time with his daughter, which was what I appreciated because I was not in my right state of mind to take care of the baby. He didn't know that I knew his plans and his infidelity, and I had to act accordingly, so I would confront him when I had got tangible evidence. A month later, we had been living like roommates in our house. Even our daughter had caught the thick tension that was in our home. My conscience kept telling me that my husband would never cheat on me. He loved me and our family so much for him to just destroy it like that if there was nothing going on. I suspected that maybe he was going through something. But would a person who was going through something cheat on you and plan to destroy your uncle's business? Everything was really confusing. So I decided to seek revenge on my uncle's behalf and try to bring back his business and the money he had lost. I should have known that Chris would use his immature computer geeks, he calls friends, to do his dirty business. What did I think exactly when it didn't come to me that the only person who would be able to pull that stunt? Another thing that had confused me was, why would my husband want to destroy my uncle? Did they have any beef that I didn't know about? My relentless pursuit of justice culminated in a confrontation that would change everything. Facing my husband, Chris, and the people responsible for my family's downfall. So I invited his friends for lunch at our home, of course, since Chris was also not working. It was a great time to unleash a storm of truth and retribution that left them all stunned. I knew they would not have expected me to know everything about their dark operation that was busy pulling my uncle's business account money. Chris was livid after I had dropped a bombshell on him and his friends and threatened to expose their operation if they didn't return my uncle's money that they had been taking. Later that evening, he came to our room and told me that we had to talk. I didn't allow him to, so I just looked at him with a go-ahead look. I didn't want to waste my voice talking to him, so he had to do the talking. I know I was not perfect also. I had not been faithful to my marriage. Not that I was cheating. I mean, sleeping with another man outside your marriage is considered cheating, right? Well, I didn't cheat. At least I thought I didn't, but I had a guy friend from college. Chris knew about our friendship even though he was not approving of it, but I had assured him that we were just friends. Nothing more. So me and this guy would be free with each other to a point that we somehow kissed, but that was it. Nothing else happened. Just kissing. So as he was talking and apologizing about what he had done to my uncle and promised to return every cent he had taken from his account, my heart was at ease. That night we had talked things through and ended up enjoying our intimacy. I had missed him a lot. I had missed our family's happy moments. I thought that we were past what had happened, even though I also had my own secrets, but they were not dark like his. Few months passed and our relationship was going stronger again. We were happy. Well, I thought we were not, knowing that the bastard had planned to destroy me. He once asked me if I had considered kissing another person outside our marriage. Cheating. My opinion was that I didn't consider kissing as cheating because it didn't go with feelings. Just a little fun here and there, but being intimate with another person outside our marriage would be considered cheating. Was I wrong? The answer he gave me was, which confused me because I had thought we were just having a conversation between married people. One cold summer weekend, I received a call from an unknown number. I was just chilling with my husband and our baby girl. The call left me devastated and lost. I didn't know what to do. I was told that my uncle and aunt were involved in a tragic car accident and none of them made it out alive. My world came crumbling down. I had lost the only people I had called family. They took me in and made me their child, since they had struggled to have children. So after the passing of my mother, they took it upon themselves to take charge of my well-being. I was really sad, so I went to the police department to ask further regarding their accident because I knew that my uncle was a very vigilant driver, so he would never be careless on the road, and that wouldn't have caused the accident. I was told that his car tires were tempered with. He didn't notice them, and it led to a car losing control, and there was a truck that came on the side coming in full speed and collided with my uncle's car on my aunt's side. They showed me pictures and the car was beyond recognition. Even a pro driver would not have survived that accident. It was too tragic and heartbreaking. Weeks later, after we had buried my aunt and uncle, their lawyer told me that they had left everything under me and my daughter's name since they never had any children or extended family members. I couldn't believe that they would actually do something so generous to me. I grieved for my uncle and aunt the wrong way. I had pushed away my husband, neglected my duties as a mother and a wife. I found solace in alcohol. I felt alone, I felt like an orphan, so I drank. Alcohol made me escape the real world for a couple of hours, so I would ask my male friend to accompany me to whatever place that had fun. I would be having so much fun to a point that I even lost control. My male friend would kiss me here and there during our drinking spree, and I would accept his kisses. I wanted to numb the pain that I was feeling in my heart. My husband was so patient with me, he even tried to get me help, but I didn't accept it. I didn't want any shrink to ask me to open up about my problems. I wanted my aunt and uncle. My husband was there and patient throughout my grieving process. A couple of months passed. I decided that I had to pick myself up and remember that I had a family that needed me. I almost lost myself because of grief. I had lost connection with my daughter. My husband was on the verge of giving up on me if I had continued with the way I was behaving. It is said that even a patient's heart loses its patience when there is no progress in what it holds. Little did I know that during the whole grief moment or term, my husband was actually aware of everything I was doing. I know that he was doing it to ensure my safety and well-being, but he should have talked me through everything or taken me to the rehabilitation center by force. I was not myself, and he used that to his own satisfaction and cruelty. So after I had completely healed, I sold my aunt's house. I had found an anonymous buyer who was willing to deposit the full amount of the house. I was happy because it was not really easy to sell a house in Brooklyn. I transferred the house money to my daughter's accounts for future purposes. Chris came with the idea that we should buy a new house, well, a bigger one than the one we had. So I agreed and moved to another place outside New York. A couple of months later, I found out that I was pregnant, which was the happiest moment of my life because it meant that my family was growing. My husband and daughter were with me. On the other hand, I was expecting another bundle of joy, an additional member of my small family. During that pregnancy, Chris went back to his strange behavior. It was like he was not happy about my pregnancy and the fact that we were expecting an additional member into our small circle, which was what we had always wanted. I was sure that the baby I was carrying was his child because I had never slept with my male friend. One fateful night, he came back home looking angry. I asked what the matter was, and he just told me that it was work-related, so I didn't ask anything further because I didn't want to stress my baby, and if it was something work-related, he would find a way to sort it out. Little did I know that the work-related matter was actually me. That night, he didn't even spend his night with me. He slept in our daughter's bedroom, which raised an eyebrow. Why would he sleep in our daughter's room if whatever had made him angry was work-related because he had never done that before? The behavior kept getting worse, and that time he would sometimes come back home intoxicated and start speaking a lot of things that didn't make sense. He would start picking fights with me, saying that he would destroy my life because after all the time we had been married, I made him a fool. His accusations really confused me because I never thought my own husband would accuse me of such things. To me, it came as like he didn't trust me or he believed that I had cheated, but I never did. Or did I? A few days later, he came back home and asked to speak to me. My heart jumped out of joy thinking that he had come back to his senses, and he was willing to play his husband and a father role to our children. As we were speaking, he took out an envelope and asked me to open it. I opened it without any fear or suspicion. I thought it was something else. I didn't know why I had thought that it was something else that I didn't know of. I took out the papers that were in an envelope. He told me that he was thinking that we should expand my uncle's business since we had left Brooklyn, so it was time we open another one around where we were staying, and there was someone who was willing to join the business chain. I was happy that Chris was willing to do better by my uncle's business and expand it, so I agreed, and he asked me to sign the papers for partnership. Stupid me, I signed the papers without reading them just because I trusted my husband and he thought he would never do wrong by me. I was his wife and the mother of his children, for goodness sake. 2 weeks later, it was time that we had to open another coffee shop near where we were staying. But my husband had gone AWOL. I didn't understand his sudden disappearance because we had agreed on the date to launch the coffee shop. He had left for a week with our daughter, saying that they were going to his parents' house in Brooklyn, and he was going to go for a day and come back, but I guess a day became a week. I tried calling him, but his phone was not going through. I had tried everything to reach him, but I couldn't. I got really worried, and the fear of losing them creeped on me. I started panicking because even his parents confirmed that our daughter was with them, but Chris was not. I didn't want to lose Chris, and I was not ready to. The thought of him leaving me like my aunt and uncle came, and it was not a really pleasing feeling because I was stressed, which affected my unborn child. A month later, I received a call from our lawyer asking me to meet up with her. I agreed, thinking that maybe he had news regarding my husband, only to find out that he was going to serve me with divorce papers. I was shocked because I didn't understand the meaning of everything. I was going through stress that my husband had not been home for the whole month, and suddenly I was served with divorce papers. I didn't want to lose my husband for something I didn't know about. I thought he had gone back to his cheating ways, and I was not willing to lose him to another woman. I was willing to fight for my husband and our family. So I decided to find another lawyer who would represent me during the divorce process. But bad things kept happening to me. My cards got blocked. Even my daughter's account got blocked. I couldn't receive or transfer payments. I didn't know what was going on, so I went to the bank to try and fix my account's issues, which failed dismally. I couldn't even pay for the lawyer I had found, meaning he would not be able to represent me. I was furious. I missed my aunt so much, because she would have known what to do or say to me to make me feel better. I was pressured to the point that I got abdominal pains one night, mind you. I was alone in the house, so I called 911 for assistance. Unfortunately, when I got to the hospital, I had already lost the baby. My heart was broken. I even wished death upon myself. I had thought my baby was a fighter, but I guess that time he or she couldn't fight any longer. I needed my husband, the same husband who had filed for a divorce for me. My mind was all over the place. My life was becoming a mess each and every day. I spent the whole week in hospital. My mind and heart was shuttered. A day before I got discharged from the hospital, my husband's lawyer came to see him. He left another envelope that I didn't even bother opening, but I took it home with me the next day. So when I had settled well at home, I remembered the envelope and opened it. The things the envelope contained left me in awe. My heart stopped for a moment. In the envelope, there were pictures of me and my male friend kissing each other. It looked like we were dating. I couldn't believe how my husband had got the pictures. I didn't understand why he would send his lawyer to deliver the pictures to me, and I saw nothing wrong in what I did. In my world or mine, kissing was not and should not be considered as cheating. No feelings were attached. It was fun, nothing else. So after the pictures were delivered, the lawyer called me again, saying the divorce process had to come to a final decision, and requested to see me along with my husband on a certain date. I honored his request and went to meet up with him and my husband. The only thing that made me agree to the meeting was because I had a lot of questions to ask my husband. One fateful day, The day of the meeting came, and my husband was really divorcing me. And his reasons for the divorce were that he had lost trust in me, and I had not been faithful to our marriage. The fact that I had found solace in another man's arms and left him in our house to take care of our daughter. I thought he understood that I was going through grief, and I was not myself. I tried defending myself in the pictures case, and the lawyer told me exchanging saliva or kissing another person outside my marriage is considered cheating, even if I had thought it was an innocent friendship kiss. But the fact that I had spent time and kissed another person in the name of friendship is cheating. I didn't know that and never thought of it as cheating because me and the guy were only friends. I didn't take him as another thing and never thought of him that way. I loved my husband so much, but I guess the only thing I never did was respect my wedding vows and my husband. I didn't know, okay, one moment I was happy, the next I was grieving and found comfort in alcohol. That alcohol led me to do something that I had thought I was doing just for fun. I guess nothing stays in the dark. I felt so ashamed. Doing things in the name of fun sometimes leads us to our downfall. So I ended up signing the papers, meaning I was actually letting go of my husband, our love, our vows, and our family. I asked the lawyer what I was benefiting from the divorce, and he told me that I would be getting nothing rather than the house I was living in. So I asked my husband to unfreeze my accounts, and he told me that my accounts were fine. It was just that they didn't have any money. I knew he was crazy, but I had never thought it was to that extent. How could he do something so evil to the mother of his child? As I had thought that was all, he then dropped a very large and a killer bombshell to me, saying that he was taking full custody of our daughter and that I was not fit enough to be a mother, so he was taking full responsibility to our daughter. To my luck, I had my aunt and uncle's offshore accounts cards with me. They had a little money in them. It was enough to push me until I would be able to find my feet, so I took that money and hired a private investigator to run an investigation on my ex-husband. When he came back with the results, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that my husband was responsible for my downfall. It showed that he was the one who owned my family home, the one my aunt and uncle lived in. He also tricked me to sign the papers that he said were partnership papers, but I was actually signing all my rights to him, meaning he was the full owner of my uncle's businesses. Those were replaceable things because during the investigation finding, it also stated that my husband was responsible for my aunt and uncle's accident. I felt my knees getting weak each and every moment when I read the findings. I had never thought he was that evil. I had lost the only people who were my family, as if that was not enough. He took my daughter away from me. I should have left him the first time I found out that he was responsible for my uncle's business to lose money. My ex-husband was evil and psychopathic. The signs were there, but I didn't pay any attention to them. I was so much in love and thought I had found my soulmate, but I found my worst nightmare and downfall. I couldn't believe that he did all that just because of a lousy kiss. It wasn't like I was dating the guy, but he destroyed my life. All in the name of revenge for a kiss. A few months later, I had to try and fix my life bit by bit. Chris did a number on me, so it wasn't easy having to start afresh everything. Fortunately, I found a job as a waitress in one of the restaurants nearby. It was not easy, but I had to try and pick up life and better myself. I had no one but myself, so it was time to focus on me and do me. And the good thing was that Chris's parents had allowed me to see my daughter and spend time with her. I prayed every day for karma to visit Chris one day. Fortunately, it did. All his operations came out and he was arrested. I vowed to myself to never fall in love again or have a crush on someone. I have learned my lesson. Do you think I handled the whole situation better, or I was a coward and naive to allow Chris to destroy my life like that? Please advise me. Hi guys, I'm currently trying to find the right words to quantify what this post is about. I don't know if I'm here to talk about how I cheated on my boyfriend and how I'm scared of him finding out, or how I'm afraid of getting dumped by my affair partner. I sound dumb and stupid right now, but please bear with me. I'm currently trying to evaluate the amount of tension and unnecessary anxiety I have brought upon myself just by a single mistake I made at a night out. Damn. When my parents used to tell me how parties and late nights out are just another ticket to misbehaving and losing your morals, I thought they were just trying to stop me from having fun and being free. Now, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place just because of a night out that led me to do something stupid. I cheated on my boyfriend with a handsome salesman at the retail store, and now I'm at the verge of being dumped by my boyfriend and the guy I cheated with. How ironic, right? My name is Eloise. I'm a 26-year-old baker, and I live in a town called Bingley, which is located in Bradford, England. The name of my boyfriend is Gregory, and we've been together for 2.5 years. We have known each other for 3 years now. Wow, I can't believe this is what it feels like to be the cheater behind the keyboard. Writing this has made me understand just how horrible being vulnerable is. Gregory and I live separately, but we hang out often. Just 2 months ago, he invited me out to a party, and we decided to stay till it was quite late. Gregory had to rush home because he had work the next day. I decided to go to the retail store and get myself something before going home. I can't deny the fact that I was already drunk even before I left the party. But maybe I was just tipsy, if I can still remember everything that occurred. When I got to the retail store, the salesman made me swoon. When I say he made me swoon, I mean it literally. It was a weird sensation for me because I've never been the type of person to be attracted to just anyone, especially when I'm just meeting the person for the first time. I don't know what happened to me that day because I was certainly not acting myself. The salesman introduced himself as Dave, and then he asked for my name. Our conversation just began from there, and then he told me his shift was over and decided to escort me home. I woke up in his house the next day, and I swear that I almost fainted when the realization of what I'd done hit me like a bucket of cold water. I cheated on my boyfriend with a salesman I'd just met. Dave is a very good-looking guy. I can't deny that fact. Maybe that's why I was swooned by him and decided to follow him home. I don't even have an explanation for what happened. I was meant to be escorted home, not turn out being the escort. Before I left his place that day, Dave made sure he asked for my phone number and saved his number on my phone. Gregory doesn't know what happened yet. I've managed to keep it a secret from him for the past 2 months. I know I'm shameless and selfish for doing that, but I really do not have an explanation. My survival instinct just and desire to keep my boyfriend just kicked in, and I desired to keep my mouth shut and keep everything from Gregory. At first, I wanted to pretend like it was just a one-time thing with Dave and that it happened as a result of my drinking. But it developed to become a friend's benefit thing. I can't even believe that I'm insinuating that I had a fling with someone while I was in a relationship with my boyfriend. Dave and I were constantly in contact. I think I'm infatuated by him and his good looks. He's good-looking, charming, and flirty. He's the definition of a bad idea, yet I found myself in a fling with him. I risked my relationship with my boyfriend by being with Dave, and I risked my fling with Dave by being with my boyfriend. Now I think Dave is about to dump me, and my boyfriend is on the verge of finding out the truth. I'm in a big mess, and the only person I can really blame is myself. To think I've been feeling like I could literally have my cake and eat it back is crazy. I thought I was being smooth and discreet. I was having fun by having a little bit of both worlds. But guess what? I'm about to lose both worlds and end up with nothing. I got a text from Dave yesterday saying that we needed to talk. That was the only contact of the text. Before, Dave would check up on me regularly and text me with sweet words. Yesterday, his words were very plain and weird. I could tell that there was something wrong. There's also every possibility that Dave plans on breaking up with me. We're not really dating, but we have a thing going on. If Dave breaks up with me, I'm literally done for. How will I cope with my boyfriend knowing he could find out any time? I know how smart Gregory is. It's only a matter of time before he tells me he's been aware of my cheating escapes. Speaking about Gregory, I've noticed a lot of changes in him. He's been suspicious of me, but he doesn't just know how to admit it without being wrong. I'm sure he's just waiting till he has enough evidence so I cannot deny it. Now Dave wants to break up with me? It's not possible, and I cannot allow it. I don't want to sound violent and weird, but I have risked a lot to be with Dave. He asked us to meet tomorrow, and I'm most definitely ready to meet him. I suspect that he'll try to break things off. Please advise me, guys. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'll do if Dave decides to break things off with me. Update. Hi guys, it's me again. I almost got dumped, but I made an escape. What can I say? Life seems to be turning against me with every single turn. Am I afraid? Of course I am. I don't know if I should watch my back or count my blessings because the discoveries I've made in the past 2 weeks are just shocking. I know a cheater like me doesn't really have the right to talk about loyalty and betrayal, but damn, I think I'll have to talk about it. So, I met up with Dave just like I said I would. Immediately, I walked into the cafe he requested us to meet at. I could just tell that there was trouble brewing in the air. He looked stiff and angry, and his facial expressions were just proof of what I'd been afraid of. I'd never seen him like that, and it bothered me a lot. I knew that my suspicions were about to become reality, and it took all the self-control I had in me for me not to run away. I just didn't want to hear what he had to say because I could just guess that none of it was going to be in my favor. Well, I was actually very right for feeling that way. Dave told me he needed a break and wanted to focus on his job. I had to ask him if he was crazy. Focus on his job? What job? Didn't he know he had a job before he took me to his house that day? I was very angry, and I did not hesitate to show him just how angry I was. Dave didn't wait to listen to me. He just left the cafe immediately and switched off his phone. I looked like a mad person that day because of the way I tried running after him. It was a crazy scenario, and I'm very ashamed of myself. But what could I do? I was practically shivering just from the possibility of losing Dave. I'm the type of person that gets extremely scared when I know there's nothing to fall back on. I think that's what they call daddy issues. I hate the feeling of vulnerability and being helpless. I also have the possibility of being left with no one. I know I'm a hypocrite for feeling this way just after I cheated on my boyfriend and had a full-blown going behind his back. I think I deserve the karma that's slowly making its way toward me. But, just like everyone else, I'm currently trying to fight my way out of it because I'm scared. When I got back home that day, I decided to give Dave the time he needed. I was also contemplating telling Gregory the truth. I wanted to let him know that I was cheating on him, but I just couldn't find the courage to do it. If I was asked who I'd choose between Gregory and Dave, I honestly know that Gregory is my choice. Dave is charming and all, but he's a flirt and a playboy who is never serious. The only reason I'm trying to hold on to Dave is because I definitely know that Gregory is going to dump me once he finds out that I cheated on him. I know that there is no possibility that he is going to forgive me, and that is why I am trying to make sure my relationship with Dave still stands. I know that what I am doing is called selfish, but I cannot bring myself to accept the fact that the person I put my relationship at risk for is planning to dump me. That is why I am trying my best to save at least one relationship. But it feels like the walls are caving in, and I know that the end of both relationships is here. Like I said earlier, I do not live with Gregory. We live separately, but we always meet up almost every day. I do stay with him during the weekend sometimes. I was not supposed to stay with him during this weekend, but I decided to give it a try since I am aware that a lot is going on. During those 2 days I stayed with him, I realized that I'm also on the verge of losing Gregory too. Gregory has become cold and aloof, and he was even showing obvious disgust for my presence at his house. One thing I don't understand is why Gregory and Dave seem to be acting weird at the same time. I am very suspicious of this, and I have even come to the conclusion that both of them are communicating. I don't think this is far-fetched, and I know that there is every possibility that they both came together and decided to teach me a lesson. Gregory even decided to stop calling me like he usually did. Forget you usually. Gregory has stopped calling me at all. Even the normal text messages are now forced as I am the one trying to make conversation. My 2.5-year relationship is slipping off my fingers and there is nothing I can do about it. It will really hurt me if I realize that both of them planned this together and figured out that I was dating both of them, so they decided to have a bro thing. Dave is aware that I am in a relationship, and he has been aware since the very second day we started this thing. I told him I had a boyfriend and that we were kind of serious, and he told me that he was not going to judge me for that. I believed him. I actually stupidly believed him, but now I am in a position to doubt every single thing he told me. The only reason I kept saying Dave even after I realized that I was literally cheating on my boyfriend is because of his charming ways. I don't want to sound vain and partial, but Dave has a way of acting all charming, nice, and welcoming, and that is the reason I fell right into his trap. If I find out that Dave has anything to do with Gregory's sudden distance, I don't trust what I will do to him. I swear that there are many instances when I wanted to tell Gregory the truth, but Dave has assured me that there was no need. I know that the relationship is between me and Gregory, and not Dave and Gregory. I should have listened to myself and not taken his advice, but it is always easier for cheaters to take the easy route out, and that is a mistake I made, and that is why I am regretting it right now. I'm going to keep you all updated on what happens next, and I honestly hope that it is something positive. I know that the truth is eventually going to come out, and all I'm trying to do is just try to make it wait longer. I'll update you all in a week or two. Bye. Update 2. I got dumped, guys. I assure you that you made no mistakes. You read that right. I knew that it was just a matter of time and this was going to happen eventually, but I did not know that it was going to be this soon. I've always imagined what it would be like for the truth to get out and for me to receive the heartbreak text or speech from Gregory. But nothing in my imagination ever prepared me for what actually happened. Gregory dumped me in such a way that it left me shook for days. The fact that he had been planning his big comeback and revenge is just the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced. I know this might sound like an exaggeration, but I literally dined with my enemy. Gregory bought me a new dress and told me that he was going to take me out to dinner. Unknown to me that what Gregory actually wanted to do was break up with me. I can't even type this without taking a pause and taking a deep breath. Gregory practically embarrassed me in the worst way possible, and to think that I know that I deserve what happened to me is the most shameful, pitiful thing I've ever imagined. In this case, it was not imagination, it was actually reality, and I experienced it live and direct. Gregory sent me this beautiful dress, and I accepted it happily. It was a red dress, and it looked quite good on me. I even got my makeup done, because I was very happy that things were going to be better between me and Gregory. When I got to the restaurant, I realized that there were guests I didn't know were coming. Gregory invited his parents and siblings. I am not even joking when I say this. It was like I was at a family event. The only difference was that it was their family against just me. I came unprepared because Gregory didn't tell me that his family was going to be at the dinner. I was shocked to see them there, and I was practically defenseless. I thought it was going to be a normal dinner between couples, but I did not know that his family was invited. I'm sure you all know that it's a normal thing to prepare ahead of time before meeting your partner's family. It's mostly common among ladies when we rehearse the things to say and answers to the questions that we assume we would be asked. It's our way of getting ready and not being caught off guard. In my case, I wasn't just caught off guard. I was disrespected, embarrassed, insulted, and gaslighted. I think this is fair because this is exactly what I've been doing to Gregory. But to be honest, I never saw it coming. Even though I suspected that Gregory knew I was cheating on him and there was every possibility that he was going to have his revenge, never in a million years did I imagine that his own version of revenge was going to be exposing me in front of his own family members. When I got to the restaurant and sat down with his family, I could already sense that I'd been the topic of discussion before I came. His parents looked at me like I was feces under their feet. I swear that it took all the control in me not to stand up and run away. It was almost like I was sitting before them without clothes. I tried asking Gregory what was going on, but Gregory pretended like you did not even know me. He just told his family how he discovered that I'd been cheating on him. The Gregory I saw that they looked like a beast. I could tell that I had hurt him a lot and he was very disappointed in me. I was also very disappointed in myself because I made choices that were very poor. The worst part was that I kept making those wrong choices continuously, even though I was aware that I was only ruining the beautiful thing I had. I'm certain that one of the reasons Gregory made sure his family was present before he broke up with me is because of his mother's fondness for me. His mother and I have always been close, and she's always been in support of our relationship. Even before Gregory exposed me in front of his family, I've always been disgusted with the choices I made, even though I couldn't muster up the courage to correct all the mistakes I've made. I chose to take the easy route because I was a coward who was afraid of facing the consequences of her actions. But the fact that a woman who always loved to see me and smiled when she saw me, looked at me with a huge amount of disgust and hatred, made me regret everything all over again. Gregory's mother, who was always fond of me, looks like she regretted all the moments of kindness she showed me. I was deeply disturbed, embarrassed, and disappointed. Gregory told me that our relationship was over and that he gave me 2 months to refund all the money, clothing, jewelry, and everything he's ever spent on me. Yes, you all read that right. I am not even joking at all. I left the restaurant thinking about where I would get the money to pay him back. Where would I even start from? How did he expect me to refund 2.5 years worth of gifts? Even though I'm still very much upset with myself, I cannot deny the fact that I have also spent a lot of money on Gregory. I mean, there was a point in my life where I actually thought that I would get married to him. That just goes to show how much we invested in each other before I went on and messed everything up. This might not be really relevant in this journey, but I will still say this just for reference sake. I am not a lazy woman, and I work for my money. I have never been dependent on Gregory's money or gifts. I am even the one who rejected his offer for me to move into his house. I am independent, and I have been so almost all my life. I work as a baker, and I work my ass off to earn what I eat. I think it's a little too cruel and weird of him to ask me for 2.5 years worth of gifts. I could also ask him for the same things because I have also spent money on him. The next day after you broke up with me, I decided to go over to his house so we could talk. I knew I had messed up and I knew the relationship was broken beyond repair. I didn't go to his house to ask for a second chance. I wanted to ask for his forgiveness because even before we started dating, we were good friends. We started off as good friends, and I don't want us to end up as people who stop talking to each other. I knew that it was going to be hard for him to forgive me and forget about everything, but I just wanted to try my luck to see if he could forgive me. But when I got to his house, what I saw there really shocked me. My best friend was at his house and they were making out before I stepped inside. Can you imagine the level of betrayal I felt? She was someone who was very aware of the dynamic of the relationship I had with Gregory and Dave. She was my very close best friend, and I told her everything about the relationship. Even when I first cheated on Gregory and was very scared, she was the first person I spoke to. I felt very guilty, and I needed someone to talk to, so I spoke to her because I thought I could trust her. But at the end of the day, I realized that she was just a green snake in the green grass. She literally listened to me talk about my problems only for her to go behind my back and date my boyfriend. I realized that there was every possibility that she had been visiting Gregory even while we were still together. It dawned on me that she must have been the one to have told Gregory the truth. I know that after what I did to Gregory, I do not deserve any form of loyalty from anyone. But it still hurts me to see my own best friend with my ex-boyfriend. What even hurt me the most is the fact that she listened to me when I told her how I felt. The fact that she encouraged me not to tell him the truth is even more alarming. I'm even the bigger fool for listening to her advice and not doing what was right. She had her own bigger intentions, and I was not smart enough to realize it at the time. When I walked towards them and made my presence known, I did not see any form of guilt in her eyes. She even had the look of victory. It's the kind of look that told me she had been planning everything for a long time. A part of me wanted to be angry and even physically hurt her, but I knew that it was just my karma that got me hard. If I didn't cheat, she would have never had the opportunity to even dream of entering that living room. But I made the mistake of being unfaithful, which meant that I opened doors for anyone to enter into the relationship. Gregory practically sent me out of the house immediately he sighted me. He didn't even wait to listen to the things I had to say to him. I came to make peace with him, but it was obvious that he was not even interested in listening to me. I honestly tried my best, but all efforts proved to be in vain. I had no choice than to go back home. I knew that there was no use trying to make peace with someone that despised me. But I am smart enough to know that I deserve everything Gregory did to me, except the part where he asked me to refund his money. I am not going to refund anything because I never asked him for gifts. Everything he gave to me, he gave out of his own free will, and I did not force him. Even the dress he bought me for dinner was his own decision. I've also spent substantial money on him, and I don't think I plan on getting it back. So even though that chapter is painfully closed, I made it clear to him that I do not plan on refunding any money to him. Now guys, you might think that my misery is over, but it literally started from there. I got a text from Dave yesterday stating that he wanted to see me urgently. Dave and I have not been in contact since that day when he told me he needed a break. I tried reaching out to him, but it appeared like he blocked my number. Now that I got that text from him, I know that it can only mean that our relationship might be coming to an end. We all know that when your partner asks for a break, 90% of those relationships never come back the same. I don't even really think I'm interested in a relationship with Dave. I'm just not ready to buy the idea that I will lose both relationships at once. It's a truth I am not yet ready to accept, and that is why I am ready to do my best to save my relationship with Dave. The thought of how much being with Dave cost me in my long relationship is making me scared of losing my relationship with Dave. I'll feel even worse if I end up losing the relationship I have with Dave. It will mean that I put everything at stake just so I could end up with absolutely nothing. That is why I am literally here praying and hoping that Dave will only bring good news when we meet. I just hope that my relationship with Dave ends up being among the 10% of relationships that survive breaks. All I can do is hope. I'll be making an update to this post as soon as I can. I have accepted to meet them in the next 2 days. Whatever happens, I'll be sure to let you all know. Till next time. Update 3. I got dumped again. Yes, you read that right. I got dumped for the second time. I can't believe I'm here again with the same unfortunate experience. When I told you that I was hoping and praying that my relationship with Dave was safe, I was not joking at all. But it seems like karma really decided to make sure it's finished its work. I don't even know where to begin this similar breakup journey from. Dave actually broke up with me. Even after all the hopes I had, I was crushed yet again. If this isn't my story and it didn't happen to me, I'd not believe this even if I read it somewhere else. How can I get dumped twice back to back? It happened in literally the same period of time. I didn't even have the time to gather my thoughts and heal from the breakup with Gregory. Dave decided he couldn't wait any longer, and so he broke up with me. I guess 2 times the charm, right? Wow. I cannot believe that this is me. Dave invited me to his house just so he could break up with me. That day I got dressed and even took extra time to bake a cake for him. His birthday was a week before, but I couldn't bake him a cake because we stopped communicating. I decided to use that opportunity and get him a cake. But, trust me, nothing prepared me for the aftermath at all. I know some of you might say I am shameless for baking a cake for Dave just after I broke up with Gregory. Well, there's nothing I can say to that. I don't think it's right for me to keep dwelling on the past. Gregory literally moved on with my best friend. I knew that there was no chance of us getting back together. In my stupid mind, I could try to save the going I had with Dave. I thought it was the right thing to do. I didn't want to be left with another reason to regret my actions again. So I decided to take enough stuff to stay over at Dave's place for 3 days. I thought it would be a little way for us to spend time together after being away because of the break. Yes, Guy, I was that positive and hopeful that I'd get back with Dave. Unfortunately for me, that was not the case at all. I would have really appreciated it if Dave had just made his intentions known to me from the start. Instead, he decided to play dumb and go along with all the preparations I'd made. This even went as far as welcoming me in the sweetest way possible. He was so happy to receive the birthday cake, and he devoured it like it was a freaking buffet. Believe me when I say he devoured it, because he really devoured it. I was very happy to see how excited he was, because I believed that that was a sign that we were going to get back together. He made it seem like he was back to his normal charming self with the way he flirted and joked. I actually believed everything and did not know that it was all just a facade. The first day and slept over, I forgot all about the pending problems and just tried my best to have fun. We were talking and just spending time together like normal couples did, even though I knew we were not a normal couple. The fact that I forgot all about everything is just a testament to how well he played me and made me believe that everything was fine. Even as I'm writing this now, I don't understand why he had to fake it when all he wanted to do was break up with me at the end of the day. It does not make sense at all, and that just goes to show how unserious he is. I know that I am literally at fault for everything, but Dave and Gregory seem to have been the perfect pair to make my life a living hell. It was practically hard for me to understand everything, but I was able to get to the root of it at the end of the day. Before I tell you all how I got the piece of the puzzle together, I'll let you know how Dave broke up with me. On the 3rd day I spent in his house, Dave decided to have a serious conversation with me. He told me he was aware that I was no longer together with my boyfriend. Imagine the level of shock I felt when he told me that. It was hard for me to understand how Dave found out Gregory and I broke up. I did not have a public relationship with Gregory, so it's not like we posted our breakup online. Hey! Up until that moment, I didn't even know that Dave knew Gregory's name. I've never mentioned Gregory's name to Dave. I just told him that I had a boyfriend. and that was it. I never saw the need to tell him what my boyfriend's name was. But on that particular day, Gregory told me he knew I broke up with this, and he called his name. I was very surprised because I did not expect Dave to be acquainted with Gregory. I stood up and demanded answers from Dave immediately. I had to know what was going on because it felt like I was being played right before my eyes. Even though I've been dating 2 guys, I never intentionally tried to make it a game. I told Dave I had a boyfriend before we started having a fling, so there was no way it made sense that he'd go behind my back and try to plan me with my real boyfriend. The only person that had the right to make that more was Gregory because he was the only one I really kept in the dark. But the discovery I made that day was very different from what I imagined. Dave told me that things were over between us. He said he was no longer interested in the relationship and wanted us to break up. I was shocked to say the least. I was so angry that I had to ask him why he only told me this when it was already too late. I didn't understand why he made me spend 2 days at his place when all he wanted to do was break up with me. Dave was not remorseful at all, and he made it clear that he did not give a damn. I was practically furious, and the proof of how angry I'd been is currently on Dave's face because I scratched the hell out of his face. I had long nails fixed, and I made sure that I pierced it into his skin. I am not a violent person, but I had no self-control that day. The fact that Dave had the audacity to think he could play me and then try and be nonchalant about it took me off the edge. Dave did not try to be defenseless when I came at him. He also tried to push me and fight back. But trust me, a woman always has pepper spray in her bag. I ran to the room and grabbed the pepper spray I always kept in my purse. I sprayed his eyes till I was practically rolling on the floor. That gave me enough time to pack my belongings and vacate his house. I didn't have much to park because I only brought in a duffel bag. I spent hours shaking on my couch when I got back to my house that day. The realization of what had happened had me shaking. I was so scared, betrayed, and angry at the same time that I didn't even know what to do with myself. It took a lot of self-control and anger management for me not to practically ruin my living room. I was embarrassed and disappointed in myself, but I was also very shaken with the fact that I got dumped twice barely in a week's time. I know that I had it coming and the shooting always had its repercussions, but I never expected my boyfriend and my affair partner to have come together to teach me a lesson. This is just my conclusion of what happened because I still don't have the full story. Dave refused to tell me what he knew, and Gregory is ignoring me. Even though I'm not aware of the full truth, I know that Gregory and Dave definitely came together to plan what to do to me. I got dumped twice, and it's still something that shocks me. Apart from the fact that I was dumped by my affair partner and boyfriend, I'm still trying to get over the fact that my best friend went ahead to sleep with my ex-boyfriend. If this is really the karma I deserve for cheating, I'm very certain that I got it hard. But I still accept that none of this embarrassment and disrespect would have happened if I never cheated. Even though everything that has happened to me is messed up, I can't deny that I have a hand in it. Nobody cares and life goes on. Only me is left with my repercussions. Lesson learnt the hard way.